to Journey Through the Innerverse. We are so excited to be here. It's been a long day. It's been a long week, honestly. So it's always nice to have this refresher and this life force energy come back into us, even though we're like zombies, like The Walking Dead at this point. At least maybe today. But yeah, Alexis, I don't want to speak for you. How are you doing? How are you doing today?
I 100% feel like that. I mean, honestly, as soon as we got into our pre-chat, my energy picked up. But like all day, I've been going back and forth between being really wound up and exhausted out of my mind because I've just not been sleeping well. And yeah, so the energy's been weird. I'm exhausted, though I'm excited for this chat. How are you?
Yeah, no, the energy is definitely weird. And I'm also really tired. This is the first day of my cycle. Yesterday being January 27th, I was having a really just intense day. I mean, it was like the day, and I don't always have this with my cycle, but this was a typical day before your period. You're just really irritable and just, my car got stuck in the snow at one point and it was a day. And then I looked at the chart and the current transits, and I saw that Mars was conjoining or making an alignment to Pluto in Aquarius, along with, the sun being there. I'm pretty sure Venus is there, Mercury's there right now. There's a whole team of planets in Aquarius with Pluto. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of intensity, especially with Mars and Pluto's there together. And a lot of energy too. There's a lot going on, I feel like, in the energetic spaces. We all know what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, the highs and the lows and the amazing things and the disgusting things. It's just all over the place. And of course, we naturally feel that, and our nervous system feels that. And so, yeah, it's a time. And today, yeah, so I'm really feeling it. But like you were saying, once we entered into the pre-chat, it was really nice, and it's nice to have to check in and yeah. So that's how I'm doing. And like I mentioned, Mars and Pluto are very close together. And we are coming up on a full moon in Leo with all of these planets in opposition in Aquarius. And so, I feel like I don't want to make predictions or claim anything for anyone, but it might be an intense time, and just take care to ground yourself and breathe. And maybe get creative with how you can channel this fire and this energy moving through you at this time. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And let me tell you that Pluto, Mars, and Aquarius, I really felt, especially yesterday I had off and I ended up sleeping really poorly. And then I was woken up by my husband at 8 o'clock in the morning and I just was laying awake for a while and then I went back to sleep at 10 a.m. And
Mm.
from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I slept. And I had the longest, most insane dreams. And they really, really aligned with that Pluto, Mars, and Aquarius
Oh,
energy. And I'm not
excited.
going to share that today, but it was definitely an interesting experience.
Oh,
Not
I'm excited to listen back to that. I'm really excited. Yeah, now that I think about it, today, I woke up at 5 a.m. and I just couldn't go back to sleep. So that makes sense why I'm really tired. I've been up since 5 a.m. and it's the first day of my cycle. So, um, moonlight, and I'm not even gonna try to butcher the last part of your username, but I do recognize you. Um, she says, "Hi, excited for this topic. Flying and falling are common dream themes for me and my dad's side of the family." Ooh, so
that's
you'll have to let us know maybe how you initiate the flying in your dream, how that feels for you. And if falling, being that it happens often, is falling a scary thing for you. And yeah, is falling a scary thing for you, and has it evolved through your dreams over time? I'd be curious to hear that. Yeah, and so that's our topic for tonight is flying and falling in dreams. We were wanting to do another dream theme or dream symbol chat, and we touched on pretty much all the common ones, like the most popular dream symbols and themes, except flying and falling. I don't think we've talked about it. So we decided to dedicate an episode to this topic, which is really fascinating. And I think that they work well together in conversation. So before we get into this topic tonight, do you want to share about Dreamy Ghosts?
Absolutely. So, if you guys don't know already, Urania and I are working with a developing dream app called Dreamigos. That's Dreamigos. You can find this on the Google App Store or the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. It's free to download and free to have the basic, options for you to record your dreams and keep them private, or upload them to the public Dreamline, where you can get help with guidance and interpretation from dream experts like Urania and I. And we also have a premium option as well, which comes with a variety of different cool aspects to it. I know that Urania's contribution to the premium is talking about your moon sign and dreams. And, she does this beautiful, it is a wonderful pamphlet, a guidebook on how to navigate your dream space in alignment with your moon sign. I put out a art guide and how to create art based on your dreams. And there's several other dream experts who contribute to that premium option as well. Another thing that's really awesome about Dreamigos is you get to participate in not one, but two free dream circles. Twice a month. We have the Dream Circle, where it's hosted by one of the dream experts, and you get to sit and kind of learn. It's a little bit more lecture style until the end, when you can participate and talk about your dreams or ask questions. And then the other one we have available is a more casual gathering, and this is considered the sofa talks. And we just did the sofa talk this Tuesday. It was amazing. It was so much fun. We all just kind of hung out. Everybody got to share about a dream. We all got to kind of pitch in, interpret them. And, it was really casual and it was really nice, and very healing. So if you don't have that downloaded, go ahead and download it today and join us.
Yeah, I'm really sad I couldn't make it yesterday, but I am really looking forward to the next one, the sofa chat. And I always also do my best to make it to the dream circles because they're always really informative and very supportive to the dream space and just like your understanding or your learnings around dream work and that experience.
Everybody brings a different energy to their dream circles too. The last one we had was with one of our dream experts, Vlad, and he has his work is rooted in Jung analysis, dream analysis, and it really was wildly interesting and super in depth. All of the information he shared. Urania and I, along with another dream expert, Andrea, before that did a episode or a dream circle where we talked about nightmares and anxiety dreams. So you get a lot of different energies from different experts who host the circles. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Okay, so I have another dream class coming up on February 8th. This is online via Ritual Craft School. It's called The Sacred Art of Dream Divination. So whether you seek personal guidance, divine insight, or a deeper connection with your inner self, this class will assist you in transforming your dreams into sacred oracles. So through dream divination, you will awaken your ability to communicate with your inner self and receive profound messages, accelerating your healing and spiritual transformation. So this goes pretty deep into dream incubation, and I share the astrological timing, how to ask the quote unquote right questions, and then going about interpreting, integrating, and embodying the messages of your dreams. So if you are curious about that, in my perspective, the link is going to be in the description of this video. And yeah, again, it's February 8th online. All right. We have Werman here, and Werman says, "Hey, y'all, love flying dreams. Haven't had one in a while. Thanks for sharing, and let us know how you initiate flying in your dream, because I'm very curious about that because I did do a search via Reddit, and I got a lot of different experiences here of how they initiate flying and so forth. So I'm really excited to jump into that. So yeah, I guess we'll jump into that right now or fly into it. All right. Flying in dreams. So we're going to talk about flying and falling and what I like about having these two coupled together, because in some sense, flying, like my perception of it, and I feel like most people would perceive that when you're flying in dreams, 9 times out of 10, you have control. And when you're falling in dreams, you 9 times out of 10 don't have control. So it's interesting to see the duality and like their likeness in a sense, but they're polar opposites, right? As far as like the nature of how it might be experienced. And one can be really freeing and exciting, and the other one can be kind of like scary and so forth. So we're going to start with flying in dreams. And Alexis, do you want to share the meaning around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm getting my interpretation from a dream dictionary that I have called The Hidden Meaning of Dreams by Craig Hamilton Parker. This is what it looks like. And I'm actually just diving into this book. I have gotten a lot of dream books and they're all so wonderful. This one was published in 1999.
Mm.
There we are. Okay, so flying in dreams. So this is cool because it's broken down into different categories. So you have the psychological meaning, questions to ask yourself, and then the mystical meaning, which I just love that breakdown. You know,
Mm.
it may not cover all of what we're going to talk about, but it's definitely, I like the way this is presented. So the psychological meaning for flying, and it is listed under a common dream, which we know.
Mm-hmm.
To dream of flying is usually a pleasant experience accompanied by a sense of exhilaration and freedom. It usually feels completely natural, something you've always known how to do. Rarely is the dream accompanied by a fear of heights or falling. Flying may symbolize liberation from something that has been troubling you. The obstructions and shackles that have held you down have been released, and you can now experience the same sense of freedom seen in the birds that soar in the sky. The sky may symbolize consciousness and spirituality, so to dream of flying can represent the expansion of your awareness and the unfolding of your higher self. To Freud, flying dreams represented sexual release. Of course.
Wow.
Nevertheless, flying also has its perils. The ancient Greek myth of Icarus warns against flying too high. Your dream may show that you're being overly ambitious. Ask yourself, what is it I am being released from? Think about the things that have been troubling you as of late. Perhaps the difficulty or the emotional problem that has grounded you for so long is not as bad as you thought. Sometimes it is important to tread the paths of life lightly. Let the freedom, gentleness, and carefree feeling of the dream be expressed in your behavior. Do you feel anxiety or fear? You may thrill at the feeling of risk that your dream gives you. If so, you may want to take more risks in your life. For example, with your work or relationship. If you feel trepidatious and alarm, you may be overreaching yourself and may need to get a firmer footing in your life. Your dreams and ambitions may be too grandiose and not in accord with what you can realistically expect to achieve. The mystical meaning behind flying. In ancient times, a person who dreamed of flying was considered to have entered the realm of the immortal gods. Native Americans, Babylonians, Hindus, Tibetan Buddhists, and many others claim that all people have a light body that can leave the physical body during sleep. The light body can travel great distances and even into other dimensions that mystics call the astral planes. Here it is possible to talk to friends who also travel the dimensions, communicate with the people of the spirit world, or learn from the advanced souls called upon from the gods and angels. Many scientists believe that there is emotional proof that out of body travel is possible. For example, Dr. Michael Sambum in Recollections of Death published 6 in depth descriptions by patients of their surgical operations as purportedly viewed by them while out of the body. He substantiated their claims by comparing their reports with the surgeon's notes and other eyewitness testimony. So that is what is under this interpretation in this guidebook for flying. And I just love the way that was mapped out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I like that spiritual perspective of it. I love that that dictionary gives that. Because I mean, I have general meanings behind flying, which is freedom, liberation, rising above challenges. It can also represent your life taking off or something within your life taking off and that point. What I really like from that author is that out of that reference to out of body experience, because um, this wasn't necessarily a flying dream per se, but I'm recalling a dream that I had was that was semi, well, it became more lucid over time, but basically it was like an experience of astral projection, but not in the way, like in a different way, like in a dream or a lucid dream. But I felt like I was hovering, but then I did get higher and higher. And then I couldn't control my speed, which is, I feel like, another point that you would take in as far as interpretation. But essentially, it was like an out of body experience where I, like, in that case, like, I would put that under flying in some ways. But what was most profound in that dream was the out of, like, the knowing or the feeling of being out of body. Um, and so I like that that author made that connection with that.
I'm actually really glad you said that because the flying dream I'm going to share has to do with this out of body experience within the dream.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you want to just share now or
It
because it
it's up to
aligns? Yeah,
I'll
go
share.
ahead and share, and then we'll go into like what I found on Reddit.
That's perfect. Okay. Alrighty. Um, where the heck is it? Hold on, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I did put you on the spot. Well, I will share a little bit. Maybe I will just start to
Oh,
share where I found it.
I found it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was like,
No, you're good.
like this one's on my.
All good.
Okay, so I had this dream April 7th of 2025. I was in cycle day 3 of my period.
Mm.
Interesting. It was the first quarter moon in Leo. I don't always put that much information, so I'm. It was also a Monday.
Nice.
Last night's dream took place again at night, but the sky was a huge void. I was in a house that felt uncomfortable, like I was not there alone. My sister had come over to ask me to go out with her. I said I needed a moment to get my purse situated. I was choosing which bag I wanted and was filling it with what I was filling them to see which fit my stuff better. There was a unnerving feeling of someone lingering behind me, but when I turned around, no one was there. I continued in my space until my sister came in and yelled, "Let's go." I left the house to get into her car, and as she drove away, my spiritual body detached from my physical body and
Mm.
drifted into the opposite direction. My spiritual self watched the car drive away from afar until it was no longer in sight and then went inside this old abandoned house. There was a green tint to the entire dream and it was chilly. I kept seeing it from first perspective and outside zoomed out. So when I left my body, like it was like this. So I was kind of hovering above this small town that we were like
Mm. Yeah.
in, and the town felt fake. This like neighborhood felt fake. And like I was in the car with my sister but I was my spiritual body left that physical body in the dream and flew up into the sky and was looking at everything from afar and then drifted in the direction of this like old abandoned house. It was
Mhm.
very interesting. It was very, very weird. I loved it.
Yeah. Could you control like
Yeah.
movement and stuff?
I was, and it was very like, it was like glidey. Like I was flying, like I was in the air and I was moving, but it felt like very glidey. Like there was
Yeah.
no difficulty to it. There was
Yeah. Like it
no,
was just natural,
yeah, it
basically.
was so natural. It was like I was a part of the wind.
Wow. That's really cool. And sometimes I think too, like I was thinking when you were saying that when you were in the car with your sister, and I know how you kind of like exist in both worlds and you're definitely like a dream traveler and so because so I don't know why I felt I was like, what if that like happened? That was like a replay of like like something that you did actually in like in waking life. At one point, you were in the car with your sister, and then your spirit body did go on at some point to do other things or to like zoom out. But it's like in your dream, in this dream, you got to get the perspective of like the spirit and like your spiritual body and like where that went. So I'm like considering both because I'm like, okay, well, your physical body is still in the car, but then floated essentially out of that, which I like think about all the time where I have my own experiences. Like, we've all had our experiences where we're like with someone or doing something and then we totally like zone out for a minute and
Yep.
we're there, but we're like somewhere else. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I picked up from that, like that experience, which is really cool.
No, I think you're right on the money with that because the way it felt when I was in that dream, like again, like I would the place was really uncomfortable but felt familiar.
Yeah.
So it felt like I had been there before, but it felt like I could navigate the place with no issue, but it also felt very foreign. And
Yeah.
like there was this energy of someone behind me the whole dream, but there was no one there until I left my body and I was looking at myself from the sky essentially.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
it felt like, we talk about, different timelines and different like versions of ourselves and different um I don't know, like parallel worlds, and it almost felt like that where like I had been there before but it wasn't like where I'm grounded, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. Do you remember at all if like did it just happen like coming out of your body or did you like think about it or like was there
I
like there
just
was no
detached.
intention
Like
like
it
it
felt
just
like
happened at some point? Yeah.
I just, as soon as I got in the car with my sister, I don't know if it was that I just didn't want to be there.
Hmm.
Because I could absolutely see that being a part of it. I think that it was a combination really of just my curiosity for where I was located and it feeling so familiar and unfamiliar at the same time that I didn't want to go somewhere else. And
Yeah.
so I left my physical form. And then I
Yeah. Like
was
the
weirdly like, I went into this abandoned house that like felt really familiar and odd. And there was an eeriness to it. And I didn't spend much time in there, but like, it was like my curiosity was piqued. I didn't feel anxiety or anything. I just felt like weird and curious. Um,
yeah.
and I remember it just being very cold. Like I left my body, and when I was out of my body, it was very cold. And I had a similar experience when I had that dream about my whole like this family I had during an apocalyptic period, and they burned to death, and I let like my spiritual body left
Oh yeah, I
my
remember
body when I
remember
was
that.
dying and was like out in the field watching.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. It was so cold. It was so chilly and so cold.
Interesting. Werman says that Alexis, I love how you write your dream about how you feel in those details.
Thank you. I'm not always great with it. I do my best, but thank you.
Yeah, so that's wow, that's really cool. And I did and I'll share mine. Mine is a little bit different. Although, like I mentioned, I just, I had a hovering type or out of body experience. And then I had another flying experience that was just like I'm like, I don't even know where the heck this came from. But what I came across on Reddit as far as um what I was just seeing and what kind of was like the repeated themes as far as flying dreams. So I was seeing a lot of people saying that they swim, but it's in the air. So they're like doing the breaststroke, but in the air, and
Oh,
that's how they start flying, which is interesting. Um, I also saw a lot of people said they fly like superheroes, like Iron Man, or they thrust like a rocket.
hmm.
So that was kind of like the other dream, and I'll share real quick because it's really short. That was kind of a thing where I was like, well, actually, did I have jetpacks or did I fly like, oh no, it was like I didn't have a jetpack, but it felt that way. So I had this dream on July 25th of 2025, and I was on Elon Musk, and I'm not a fan of these people at all. I have no idea why they popped up in my dream. Maybe I was like reading something or something, but I remember when I had this dream, I was like, what? Like, gross. But basically, I was on Elon Musk's back as we traveled slightly above the surface of the ground. Um, and it felt like some sort of like jet pack thing, like we had like propulsed, I guess you could say, from the ground, right? And it was a new invention he had, like that ability to do that. We were very high up, but not as far as a plane would go. Then we flew towards Trump and landed for a second. There was some sort of gathering he was having. And then Trump said some nasty things about him, about, I guess, Elon Musk. And then we took off. So I have no idea. Like, do not come for me. I, no. But yeah. So I remember that dream though. I was just like really fascinated with just the flying. Like it felt free. There was no anxiety or anything like that. Like it just felt, you know,
It felt like you were flying. Like
yeah.
I that's that aspect of like being in the air and having this experience where like again you kind of feel like you're moving with the wind in a way. Like everything feels, so like natural and freeing. I love the aspect though of it feeling like a jetpack because I feel like that is such a, I don't want to say universal understanding of like what could be next in regards to invention and us
Yeah.
being able to fly. And I think I've seen that they have like the ones that go over the water.
Okay. Yeah, I have
Where
seen
it's
yeah.
kind of like a jetpack, but it's not like
Yeah.
fire. It's like air or
Yeah.
water based, um, and so you're hovering in the air using like the
Yeah.
water and whatever. But
Yeah.
it's such a cool experience because I can like I can feel it, like I can feel it, what that would feel like, and that like upward propelling and kind of like that free to move and shift around.
Yeah, and you know what I'm thinking about too? Like I'm thinking about the one I mentioned about the hovering type flying where I was like I couldn't control my speed. I could control where I was going, but it seemed like still seemed very out of control just because of how fast I was moving. And then at one point I was able to slow down. And then in this one that I shared, um, I was riding on Elon Musk back at one point, or I think maybe the whole time, I can't really remember. And then another dream I'm thinking about, which I was trying to find, was basically at one point in the dream, I was inside a building and I ended up flying. And then I realized I was like, oh, I'm flying, I can fly. And so I was kind of flying around in the building. But there was some aspect of not being able to control it as much. And so I feel like with that theme of not being able to control, and also like in this case, like I was indoors and I saw that. I don't know if it was a few people were saying like they would be able to fly indoors, but not really outdoors, which,
Mm-hmm.
can represent not fully feeling like you don't have control over your freedom and so forth. And so that's definitely a theme in my life. So that just kind of came to mind. I was like, oh, like I'm looking at the conditions around how I'm flying in the dreams, right? And I don't really think that I've never had a lucid dream where I'm like, oh, I want to fly. Like that's not something that comes to mind. So I know I can't
Yeah.
recall being lucid except in the hovering type dream, but that was more so just how I was traveling. So that's how I really felt. It was out of body. Like it was, I didn't choose to hover or move in that way. That's just like how I was moving through the dream at that point, because I was like
Right.
aware probably of my spiritual body, like you were.
Yeah. Did you feel like that limiting energy when you were flying within the building? Did it feel very limiting? Did you feel like almost like you were kind of like trapped in a jar? Like I don't know how to explain it, but like
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, think I think I did kind of feel like I wanted to go, because I think I told you about this dream because this was definitely since I've been really deep into like the extraterrestrials, because I was like, oh, I want to, like, I was expecting to meet one of them or have them come in my dreams, because I think I mentioned something about the Pleiadians, or like I think I called out to them even in the dream. And I was like looking up and I'm like, was it the sky, or was it like the, see, this is why I wish I would have recorded it. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. But basically there was wanting to go up further and explore, but I did feel limited
Mhm.
in some way. So yeah.
That's so interesting because I've never had a dream where I was flying inside. Though I
Yeah.
could say that the way that the dream that I had felt where the sky was a void
Mhm.
could be it could be considered limiting um just because of how I don't know like the nothingness that surrounded it.
Mhm.
But that's so interesting. That's such an interesting experience. I also think it's interesting, even when you were on Elon's back. I find that interesting because it almost feels like it could be a possibility that his company would invest in something like that. So it's like
Yeah.
we're riding on the back of his investment,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily invention,
Yeah.
but investment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe that's something, maybe this is like a predictive dream in a way. Maybe this
Interesting.
is
Yeah.
something that will come through.
Especially with the space stuff. That would make
Yep.
sense too, with like my connection to that. And it was, I mean, I was definitely, this was a period, like pretty much all of from spring of 2025 and ongoing. Basically, I was like really immersed in coming back to astronomy and like galactic things and so forth. And then my daughter, she was really, there was a period where we were watching like space documentaries like crazy and falling asleep to them. So
Aw.
that really makes sense. But yeah, so what I came across on Reddit is that, people spoke about feeling freedom. They also mentioned that that flying felt like them, like they were floating or walking on air. So that was one way that it came through. Some of them would just think about it and fly. Or they would take off like a plane, like start running with their arms out. And then it made me think of, if any of you've ever played Super Mario World, I'm pretty sure it was in that, where he would get the feather and he would have the cape, and that's how you would like run and fly yourself. So I was like, I instantly thought of that. Um, some would fall if they got too high. I remember running across that. Some people would run and then leap, and they got higher and higher. A person would also they created a button for up and one for down. And so a lot of these were lucid dreams too that I came across, because it was under the lucid dreaming Reddit subreddit, I guess you could say. Um, and then some, yeah, most of them, or there was a theme of like getting off the ground is like the hardest part if you're like trying to fly. So figuring out what works best for you. Um, and some of them, a lot of the dreams, people were escaping things, like someone, like they were being chased, or they were trying to escape something. And so I can see where that rising above challenges theme comes into play. So,
Absolutely. That's so interesting because I feel like um, you can simply just get started with flying through the initiation of a lucid dream because one of the ways to initiate is to jump. And if you don't come down like you would in real life, that's how you know that
yeah.
you're lucid
That's
dreaming.
a good
You can
point.
kind of just like bounce off of that, you know? You don't come down the same way, you can bounce up again, kind of like take flight in that way.
Yeah. So Werman says, I usually initiate it when I'm lucid and I just jump up from wherever I am, even when I'm indoors. LOL. I tried to go through the roof, but it's easier when I'm outside. That's funny. So that's what I was trying to do, Werman, when I was flying inside. Like I felt like at one point, I'm like, I feel when I'm thinking about it, like I could see the sky, but I couldn't like get higher. Cause I remember at one point I like came back down in the dream because I felt like that now with my lucid dreams, I like thanks to Alexis and my own self, it's like I can't just like do what I want to do. Like I can, but I have to go with
Sorry.
it. So I know that was the experience of like having to come down and like do like work with what was there. So it's like, yeah, you're not getting out of here right now. And it's funny because I never fly, but for some reason I wanted to like do that in that dream. Or I think I did and I wanted to like go on. Um so yeah, I think Courtney, if you're still here, let us know how you initiate flying. We would love to hear. But yeah, any more thoughts on flying?
No, I love this
Yeah.
this particular one, and I think that my next dream incubation, I want to like I want to have wings. Like I
Ooh,
want to sprout
that's
wings
fun.
from the back.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I imagine all the time is just like wings sprouting out the back of my like shoulder blades,
Mhm.
and like
Mhm.
these big like I don't know, huge angel wings or whatever they would be. Like I actually imagine that often.
Mm.
Um
Uh,
and I think that bringing that to the dream space, because my imagination is insane. Like I can feel it. Like I can feel it. Um Sorry, I started going down in my brain. Um, so yeah, you're right.
Flying. I was thinking too, like, watch after this conversation and this deep dive, we end up flying or falling. I don't really want to fall though, but I need to let it go.
Maybe
As
we
far
do
as
both.
falling stuff, I was like, yeah, I could do both. Like you can fall, and that's something I came across too
Yes.
on Reddit is like falling into flying.
Yep.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so they'll end up falling. But okay, so you ready to transition to falling? You want to share with us from that amazing book there?
Yes. Okay, so again, the hidden meaning of dreams. I also just love I love when they go ham on the aesthetic of a book. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but I'm a Libra and my beauty and art and whatnot just kind of like
Your
ring.
love language. And
It
it like,
is.
I mean, we don't have to
I
judge
mean,
it, but it's
I mean,
easier to
look,
like
it's like
connect with. I love that. Oh my,
they have
that's
just
like got you written all over it.
it's so cool. I love this. Okay, all right, here we are. So this is another common dream, and I'll show you the image they have for falling.
Ooh,
And I
wow.
love that it's red. I feel like that red
Red
background,
sky.
it feels almost like ominous, like almost anxiety. Like I don't know, it feels very
That's kind of the feeling from a lot of people that I got. Like it's not like it's uncommon to enjoy your falling dreams per se. So
absolutely.
interesting.
Okay, so again, this is marked as common dream. So the psychological meaning for falling. Dreams about falling usually occur as you are falling off to sleep, quote unquote. They may be triggered by a drop in blood pressure, a movement of the liquid in the middle ear, or a limb dangling off the side of the bed, which I didn't even think about.
Mm.
Some psychologists believe that these are archaic memories from the time when the ancestors of humans were tree dwelling primates. The ape man that survived their fall passed on their genes with the memory of the event. The dead ones did not, obviously.
Wow, that's dark.
I'm sorry, that was so funny. And that's why
Did he
so
actually write that?
yeah.
Oh wow. I thought that was commentary, but okay.
Um and that's why so often you dream of falling but never hitting the ground.
Mm.
As a symbol, falling highlights a loss of emotional equilibrium or self-control. You may fear letting go in real life. Anxiety usually accompanies this dream. It may represent your insecurity, a lack of self confidence, a fear of failure, or an inability to cope with a situation. There could also be a literal interpretation. You may have noticed something unsafe, a loose stair rail or a wobbly ladder, or an insecure window. Check it out. The dream may be a warning.
Mm.
Ask yourself, am I overambitious? Perhaps you have climbed above your station and are experiencing the pride before a fall. You may have to lower your sights somewhat and set yourself goals that are more realistic. Do I fear letting go? The
Mhm.
dream may be urging you to stop resisting an impulse from the unconscious. Psychologist Streffen Kaplan Williams suggests that you relive the dream in your imagination and let the fall complete itself. In this way, you will find out what is frightening you and get to the bottom of the problem. Mystical meaning. Some sources claim that if you dream of falling into mud, someone has told lies about you. Other dreams about falling forecast monetary loss. Which I guess that's not really, like, I don't really feel like that's super mystical, but
Yeah. Hmm.
nonetheless.
If anything was mystical, even though it's not mystical, but just going back to us as like primates.
Yes.
So
Like
that
the passed down like experience of being
traumatic
able to,
experience,
yes,
like
which
surviving
makes
all.
a whole lot of sense
That's really
because
interesting.
so I read a book a while ago called It Didn't Start With You, and essentially it talks about how your experiences, your fears that you have, your anxieties could actually be a trauma response from when your mother was growing in your grandmother's womb, because
Mm,
because your mom in the womb already has grown the eggs that will become you.
yeah,
So if
yeah,
something traumatic happens to your grandmother while she's pregnant with your mother, there's a high probability that you'll develop a fear around what that was based on that experience. And
yeah.
they did this whole experimentation with mice or rats, I don't remember, which I don't condone. But they had essentially played a noise to a mother rat who was pregnant, played the noise, and then shocked the animal.
Mm,
Did that consistently to where when the babies were born and the babies were born, when they heard that noise, they would
yeah,
have this like Pavlovian fear, like this like deep rooted fear. They
fine.
didn't experience that particular thing
Yeah.
themselves, but they know the fear
They
based
had
on
that memory,
yeah.
that imprint, basically that
Who
energy.
knows how long that like expands? Like I'm sure it's not just the mother and like the offspring with I'm sure it's beyond that, but
Oh,
beyond
yeah,
our
it's deep.
comprehension.
Especially like the more traumatic it is.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So, two things stood out to me that I came across through Reddit because I was surveying Reddit
It's a
basically.
great
Um,
source.
yeah, no, it's amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, like look at this whole dream bank.
I'm on
Um,
it
but
all the time.
but basically, two things came up. And I did notice that was a thing, like people that often happen when people were falling to sleep. And some people were saying it could be because like you're like a representation or experience of dropping into like deeper sleep, so to say. And, obviously if you don't wake up. So one of the other thing was through the dreams that I read through, I basically made two categories. Like, did they hit the ground? Because that was something that was coming up. Um, and did they wake up? Because a lot of people, so most of the people, like when they fall, they wake up. Most of the people actually, it was pretty much tied on hitting the ground and not hitting the ground. Like a lot of the times I was seeing when people hit the ground, they woke up. I thought it was interesting. Someone mentioned that sometimes like the speed in which they fall changes. So they have the recurring dreams of falling. And they said there was one time that they fell in slow motion and they hit the ground and they felt every bone in their body breaking one at a time. And they tried to wake
Beautiful.
themselves up and they could, I was
Fantastic.
like, oh my. And I like after reading this, I'm like, clear the mind, clear the mind. I'm like,
That's
no,
actually
that's
that's so funny because that
no.
there's an aspect of that that I had in the dream from Tuesday,
Oh
bone
gosh. I
breaking.
can't wait to listen
Yeah.
to those
So
things.
that immediately brought, it wasn't my own bones, but I can empathize enough. I can empathize
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. Um, so yeah, and then one person said that they fell and they hit the ground and they woke up with a headache. Oh, some people said they hit the ground and they bounced like a bouncy ball, or they, hit the ground like a feather. I saw some people like get close to the ground and then they turned on their stomach and like, floated like a feather. One person shared a dream that in the dream the world tipped upside down and they were gripping onto the grass as they were falling towards the sky. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That
Like,
is
I mean,
cool.
that could be an anxious slash nightmare for some people, but like when I was like, I just got a picture of it and I was like, oh, that's like pretty. Like I could see like that's kind of interesting, but I could see why that could be how that could be kind of intense. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying with the different dreams or between falling and flying, the theme is like with flying, you have control. It's not super easy to do. Generally, it's pleasurable. With falling, it's like you don't have control. And generally speaking, it's not pleasurable experience.
Right.
Do you have any falling dreams?
I do.
Share.
So I had this dream May 21st of 2025. Last night I dreamt I was in a forest with raised trees covered in moss and over a rock field. It was cold and damp, smelled of wet grass and cedar, or a scent sweet like it. It was nighttime, and the energy felt off, but I felt I was roaming towards, moving towards something. I'm sorry. Sometimes reading this, it's like chicken scratch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes sense with dreams.
I felt like I was moving towards something despite the energy feeling off. I was climbing upwards, grabbing onto the roots and branches to get higher. The void covered in fog was above me. Then I was pulled out of that dream and was dropped elsewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
I fell into like something like plucked me up from that dream and
Oh,
put me in a different place and dropped me and I fell.
yeah.
Um in this next location, I was sitting on a coat with someone familiar with me and a doctor in a rolling chair. He kept administering an IV shot of some sort of medicine and kept injecting me and failing over and over. And then I awoke.
Wow.
So
Wow. Oh, I wonder if like you told me this before. I feel like
I'm
you told
sure you know what, I had a couple injection dreams like that. Um, but the feeling of this, like I said, it was like there was an like a disembodied like hand almost that picked me up from this. And again, this rock field was huge. I mean, I'm 5 feet. It was probably like the rocks alone were 6 feet. And then the roots came down and wrapped around these rocks. And then it was the trees above the rocks with the moss over the rocks and stuff. So I was
me.
climbing up the roots and I felt like I was moving towards something. And then this disembodied, like, hand picked me up and dropped me and I fell and I like felt that rush of like I
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to survive this.
Yeah.
And then when I fell and I reached the ground, I didn't get hurt. It didn't feel like I hit something hard. It felt just like I sat down.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very interesting experience and it was very unnerving too. Like the whole thing was unnerving. Like
Mm.
my often in my dreams, my skies are never like the sky. They're often a void, whether it's like a bright white void of nothingness or a black nothingness, like so dark you can't like it's so that unnerving feeling and then having something much bigger than you grab you like you're like a little rat and like drop you like it's nothing and you have no idea what's happening and then all of a sudden you're like it feels like you're just kind of like sitting down into this other completely different environment. It was weird. It was crazy.
Well, you know where my mind is going. And it's
Of course,
like,
I know exactly where your mind is going.
especially more so, I think once you like said the injection, I was, I was like, oh. And then when I started like thinking about it too, where it's like you're picked up, and then I don't know, like it just seems like there was something like a guide or something there, otherworldly coming and picking you up. I think that's really interesting. And um oh, there was something else I was going to mention on that, but
Well, I was being injected, so did it have to do with that?
I don't think it had to do with that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that in itself, yeah, it was, that to me speaks of, you know,
It's very
yeah,
extraterrestrial.
yeah, like it
Like it's
definitely is.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, it also made me think about how um my mind just went to where it's like the dreaming space is almost like a representation of like what's really real in some ways, like reality versus like this is the physical dream. So everything's like very like limited in some ways. There's boundaries. There's like, it's hard to move and do it like, but then when we are in the dream space, that's when we're like coming back to more of our true sense of reality. And so I just think about just the way things can happen and the interaction of other beings. And like in that experience it seemed it pretty like dramatic, but I don't know, like there's so many things that came through, but it just took me to a place I'm like, oh, like crazy stuff is happening, in the astral, and how it's like,
I love it.
feels like, that's more reality and just like it's really interesting. So it kind of took me there.
I love it. The more I dive into like my dream space, the more dreams I have, the more I like participate in the conversation out loud with other people. When we have these conversations together, we do the dream circles, like the more the dream realm and the astral are just like mind blowing. The experiences are endless and so complex. Like even the dreams I have that are perceived as like anxious dreams or nightmares. Like I had a dream last night. It was very, very quick. And like I was in the house and I couldn't turn on the light. And I was like, what's happening? And I turned it on and I walked upstairs and it turned off on its own. And I was like, and I
In
look
your house?
over,
In your
huh?
house? In your
Yeah, in
house?
my house. Yeah.
Okay.
And this was in a dream. And I'm at the top of the stairway and I turn around and there's this like female figure who's clearly not human. And this happens sometimes in my dreams where there's other things that try to present themselves as being human
Mm-hmm.
and they're clearly not. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know what the intention is. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's from or what's going on, but like, it's just standing there and it's like wide eyed looking at me, like, and just, but you can tell that it's not a part of you.
Oh, okay, that's what I was gonna ask you next. I was like, do you
You
think
can
it's like,
tell it's not a part of you. And I'm
woo,
lucid, so I'm there and I'm experiencing it.
yeah.
And I'm like, now I'm digesting this thing that's in front of me and I'm looking at it. And like, again, it's dressed as a human, but I can
Hmm.
feel in my bones as I'm looking into its soulless eyes or what, like non human eyes. Like they were human eyes, but there's nothing
Yeah. Yeah.
behind them. It was something else, like just, and
That's
then
so
waking up and being like, I wonder who came and visited me. Like I
yeah.
wonder what came and visited me in my dream space and like what their
Yeah.
intention was. And
Yeah, because I was like, that was interesting that it was in your house. So it's like, and that's how like I tend to know when something like when something's there's an energy in my house generally, that sometimes I'd be aware of it, in my waking life, but I'm so busy, sometimes we're so busy, things going on, we're not aware of it. But then in the dreaming space, like they'll come to me, and generally it's like in my home. That's why I was like, oh, was this in your home? And so I'm like, okay, what's going on here? It's like,
it's
who
and
are you? What do you want?
so It's so weird. It's so
Hmm.
weird because like if I explained this to a quote unquote like normie who doesn't pay attention to their dreams and like they're not like really into it, it's like there's no way they're like, yeah, sure. Okay. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, you don't understand. Like there is you just know. You know
Yeah.
when you're somewhere
No.
else. You know when you travel. You
Yeah.
know when something's not a part of your own brain. Like it's
Yeah.
just in
You just
it,
like, you can't, like, once you experience it, then you get it. It's like people, when I come across like, oh, lucid dreaming isn't real. And it's like, actually, like, once you experience it, there's absolutely no, like, lucid dream is real. Like, yeah.
what do you
So
exactly? I'm like, what are you talking about? Lucid
you
dreaming
just
is when
haven't
you're aware
experienced
that you're
it. It sounds crazy.
dreaming.
Yeah. I mean, it does sound
It
crazy,
does, but
things that
like
you're
once
doing,
you
but it
start
doesn't mean that
doing
it's
it,
not real. Yeah.
exactly,
So,
exactly. And I just, ugh, it's so
wow.
weird.
Okay. We'll have to talk about that post episode. But yeah, no, mine is very short as far as like my falling dream. I haven't, like, I had to really think about it. I thought I had a falling dream um before that I remember. But anyway, the one that I do remember was recent. It was probably, I think it was last month or the month before. I didn't write it down because it's one of those dreams I'm just not going to forget. But basically it was in that one of those dreams I had where I like had sleep paralysis in the dream, then I woke up in a lucid dream. So I don't remember what I was doing, but basically I was in another dream, and then all of a sudden I was falling. I don't remember from where, but then I fell, and it was like I fell into my bed, but like there wasn't like a clear like, oh, you're falling into your bed. It was just like I fell, and then I like woke up in my bed, but then I woke up and I wasn't really awake. It was kind of like sleep paralysis, but I wasn't like, it wasn't the normal, which I've explained here before. And then I woke up. At that point I was lucid.
Do you think it
um
was astral projection? Where
it
like
felt like
you're
it, but it was like it was like,
like
I don't even know how to
your
explain it, but
spirit fell into your physical form, like that
yeah, but I didn't
energy.
actually wake up. I just like went into another dream, but I was like aware enough to be lucid, basically.
Right.
Even though the dream kept, because it was like, that's the thing, when I was having sleep paralysis, like I was trying to, naturally wake myself up, or just like what I do is just breathe. I like calm myself because it is unsettling. Doesn't matter how many times you experience it. And so then I like breathe and then tell myself I'm waking up, but I woke up in a dream and realized I was dreaming. And then that's when I shared the lucid dream before, where I was like in bed and I saw there was like on the wall that I was facing across from my bed, there was a door.
Mm-hmm.
So that led into that dream. But yeah, so it was interesting. I don't really ever remember falling in dreams, but I remember that was profound. And like a couple weeks or maybe a month or so before that, I was talking with a friend about their dreams, and they had maybe like two dreams of falling. And they fell like into like from one dream into a car of another dream. And then there was like something going on with that. But I don't remember if they like ended up lucid from that.
It
Um,
could be a way of shifting dreams too.
no, that's what I was thinking. I
That's
was like,
yeah,
and that's what I felt with his dream. That's what I felt with mine, because it felt like a combination of like false awakening, and sleep paralysis into like a lucid dream. It was crazy. It was like all three of those in one.
right.
Um,
Do you think that would be considered a dream within a dream then?
yeah, no, definitely. I
Absolutely.
feel,
Because
yeah.
even the dream I shared about falling, that's what happened. Like even though I had an external force that was pulling me and dropping me, like I dropped, I fell into another dream.
Another dream. Yeah. And that's what happened with him. That's how I felt with me. And that's actually what I came across in the dreams on Reddit, where they didn't wake up. Like it was like they fell into like another scene, another dream. So that's like, and so it makes me think too of like, because I've heard that one of the theories about sleep paralysis is that you're traveling through different dimensions, and it takes a minute for your body, mind, all of that spirit to like sync up or align to like whatever dimension that you're coming back to. And so it makes sense that I would be in a different dream. And then, especially because I was lucid in the second dream, like fully aware, that it like took on, like I was in another plane or another dimension where it was like I mean it was very interesting because that's the one where I ended up in someone's house and then outside in a neighborhood and like the baby acknowledged me and all of that. It was really cool. Um, so it took away from the weird falling into sleep paralysis, but like false awakening experience. So it was a really cool experience. But so yeah, no, I mean, falling is really interesting. And I can see how it can be anxious because just a part of our mind that is in that conscious state can kind of perceive it as like, oh, we're gonna die or we're gonna be like severely hurt. So that's like there's a natural anxiety with that. But then naturally it's like you're either gonna wake up or you're gonna maybe you'll pop into another dream. And maybe you'll become more lucid because you're like, oh shit, I'm flying, but then you don't wake up, or I'm falling, and then you don't wake up, and then you're like lucid and wherever else you go. And I kind of felt like that was what I was seeing on Reddit too, like falling into lucidity.
It brings up the other aspect of this of waking yourself up feeling like you're falling. Have you ever had that where like you wake up, like the feeling of falling wakes you up when you're
Yeah.
sleeping? And like
I don't
what
think I've ever experienced that. Yeah, but that can be basically, or what I'm thinking of is like that your spirit body merging.
exactly, that's exactly what I was
Yeah,
thinking. It's like your spirit merging with your physical, and like maybe your spirit is falling into your body from wherever you are, and it's giving you that illusion of you actually falling. Like
mm,
your brain, your mind, and your like everything's not completely aligned yet, like when you have like a sleep paralysis, like nothing, like it's
yeah,
not completed yet, the
yeah.
transition
It's
is
not like
completed yet.
that. Oh, we're gonna have to talk about this in the sofa. I want to get weird with them. I'm like, look, we're
Yes.
we're gonna talk about these like crazy fringe type dream experience. We're already in the fringy experience of dreams, so like we're gonna get weird with it.
I'm really excited because like the casual, like of course I love the dream circle. I love the knowledge that you gain from, whoever's hosting. Like you're being taught something, it's valuable. But there's just something so wonderful about the casualness of a sofa talk where you can just openly discuss
Yeah.
everybody's dream and really bring in different ideas together. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah. Well, I feel really complete with this. Was there anything else you wanted to add? Or wait, I want to add here that Courtney did say flying just happens for her. She doesn't think that she's done it from lucid dreaming, or she hasn't initiated herself to fly, like it just happened. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
Flying
that's
free.
how I feel. Like I'm lucid in my dreams, like I'm lucid in almost all my dreams, but everything's so second nature to me that
Yeah.
like I don't have to like be like, all right, I'm gonna fly. It just kind of like I just do it. Like I just do it. I just whatever it is.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my
If you're
intuition.
meant to fly in the dream, you're gonna fly. Like you don't have to initiate or think about it.
Right, exactly. And like so I completely understand that aspect of it. But yeah, I feel very complete. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad I
Yeah.
could share one of my newer um, books with you guys.
Yeah.
I have a lot of dream books, and so some of them are like really not great. Like I've gotten some dream dictionaries where you're like, I don't think so with the interpretations. But then I get cool ones like this one here, where like it's more in depth and there's questions to be asked, and like I don't know, it just feels more well rounded. So, but
I love it. All right. Well, we will be back live next week, post this full moon. Yeah. And so if you enjoy this chat, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel and hang out with us live one of these nights. And yeah, we will see you next week.
And if you guys ever want us to do an episode where we talk about your dreams and do
Oh,
our
yes.
interpretation on them, please send us an email. We'd love to do that.
Yes, we would love to share. All right. Oh, and also, you know what? We will also consider chatting with you live. You have to want to be on camera, but it's been a while since we've had someone on here live that, watches the podcast and we make that connection there. We would love to hear, about your dream space, what you have to share and so forth. So send us an email. The email address is in the description of this video. So we're open to sharing with you guys and connecting more. All right, everyone. Sweet dreams.